Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Boss Economics World, where we break down economic chaos, one blunder at a time. Today, we're diving headfirst into something that already screams trouble: more tariffs. Oh yes, President Tariff King Trump is back. Fresh off his 2024 re-election victory, riding high on fighting trade deficits and punishing foreign trade partners who rip off America, he's now about to drop a messy tariff bomb on unsuspecting friends, neighbors, and an old foe across the Pacific. Yeah, you guessed it, Canada, Mexico, and China. Someone, please tell the good old man that pulling out the tariff sword is no way to fix an economy fraying at the edges. It's late January 2025, and Trump is poised to unleash a massive wave of tariffs, people. That's right, 25% tariffs on $900 billion in goods, and guess who the lucky countries are? Our two biggest trading partners, Canada and Mexico. That's right. Trump is so laser-focused on shaving down America's pesky trade deficit that he's now targeting the very partners we trade the most with. I don't know about you, but this sounds nuts. The man's about to charge America for playing with its most important neighbors, at a cost we haven't even begun to fully calculate. But don't for one second think this show is ending with the northern and southern neighbors. Oh no. China's back on Trump's radar too, and this time, it's about a planned set of 10% tariffs because Beijing hasn't stopped fentanyl from flooding American borders. We could have a whole episode just on that alone. But for now, let's lay out some freshly brewed economic doom and gloom and expose how this reckless tariff push, combined with a few fireballs of retaliation, could crash the American economy right when it was supposed to be bouncing back. Or is this all just another leverage play to fire up the base? Tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Seriously? Let's begin with the two heavy hitters: Canada, America's #1 source of crude oil, and Mexico, the agro giant making sure your avocado toast and orange juice arrive fresh and ready each morning. Trump's plan to blast a 25% tariff at $900 billion of imports from them is nuts. It's like taking a shotgun to your own car engine because mechanics charge too much. Who needs friends when you can hammer them with taxes, right? Both these economies are integrated with the US so tightly that it's practically impossible to penalize one without hurting ourselves. Mexico sends us fruits, Canada sends us crude oil, they support our manufacturing, fuel our industries, and fill our bellies. The Peterson Institute for International Economics even spells out the sheer insanity: whack Mexico and Canada with these tariffs, and the US GDP will shrink by $200 billion by the end of Trump's second term. That's an economic body blow, people. What about China? Trump's been vaguely throwing around a new 10% tariff on China to slow fentanyl imports, never mind the pressing trade ties America has with China that fuel everything from your iPhone to your home's Wi-Fi router. Did Trump miss the fact that China is America's largest maker of semiconductor chips, and the ripple effect on tech alone could be disastrous? In fact, this genius move would pull around $55 billion out of America's pockets over the next 4 years. That means slowing growth right when we can't afford it. Let's break it down piece by piece and look at the economics behind all this. First, tariffs are simply taxes. When Trump places a 25% tariff on Canada, Mexico, or China, the immediate cost of doing business spikes for American companies that rely on imported materials. The cost of running a car assembly line, for example, skyrockets. Which means prices go up for you, the consumer. Let's say you're working in Detroit at a car manufacturer. That 25% tariff on Mexican auto parts means higher costs for vehicles produced on US soil. Guess what? When car production costs rise, car prices rise. That SUV you've been eyeing? Prepare to fork out extra thousands because tariffs kick up everything, from raw materials to finished products. But things get worse because it isn't just the car industry. Look at Valero Energy Corporation, they handle refining and gasoline. If new tariffs hit Canadian crude oil, gasoline production in the Midwest could be cut, shrinking supply and leading to, you guessed it, higher gas prices for American motorists. Last time I checked, Americans weren't exactly jumping for joy at the gas pump already. Why add more to the pain? If we zoom out a bit, let's talk about something that's sometimes overlooked in this discussion: supply chains. North America, that's Mexico, the US, and Canada, is wired through an intricate web of supply chains built over decades. Our car parts, electronics, and even your spinach salad flow across borders back and forth several times before ending up in your hands. Tariffs on Canada and Mexico would crush these integrated systems, making production slower and more expensive across the board. If you think Trump's tariff plan is fireworks, wait until the real boom: retaliation. Canada isn't going to just let tariffs on their goods happen without hitting back. This is where things get downright absurd. Our friendly neighbors to the north. They're already drafting their own retaliatory tariffs, and get this, they're cleverly targeting items from politically important states. You like bourbon from Kentucky or coffee from Louisiana? Well, buckle up, because Canada's gonna hit Trump supporters where it hurts. That includes $105 billion in US products slated for counter-tariffs. Trudeau isn't playing around here. Is anyone in Washington paying attention to this snowball disaster? If tariffs follow on strategic US goods, this bet could badly backfire on key Republican territories. And it just doesn't end with bourbon. Canada, in its crafty retaliation mode, is even considering export taxes on commodities the US depends on, like oil and uranium. That's like cutting our lifeline and then watching from their ice-capped perch as we frantically flail for alternatives. As for Mexico, it's still early days, but with their economy already shrinking in the four-quarter swing in 2024, tariffs will put them in pure defense mode. And trust me, they'll fight back, possibly by placing tariffs on products like American-destined fruits and veggies. You want more expensive guacamole with your Taco Tuesday? Sure, just keep fanning those tariff flames. Now, Trump thinks he's channeling his inner William McKinley, the famous tariff champion of the late 19th century. The thing is, what worked in the 1890s doesn't exactly slide in 2025. McKinley was working in an era where America was ramping up its industrial base, and tariffs made sense to stimulate domestic industries. But American manufacturing isn't rag and bone brittle anymore, it's globally integrated. You can't just slice and dice tariffs off your neighbors without expecting major damage to your own economy. Meanwhile, you have economic heavyweights like David Seif, chief economist at Nomura, predicting serious tariff fallout. We expect Trump to implement more tariffs this year and for the average tariff rate on goods imported to the US to rise significantly in 2025. In other words, this might just be the beginning. 10% on China today, maybe 25% tomorrow. And don't even take it from me. Economists are pretty loud on this point, it won't just drive up prices. It will clamp down consumer spending, make businesses second-guess investments, and send ripples throughout the supply chain, crippling American competitiveness on the global stage. Let's not forget the other elephant in the room, fentanyl. Trump has used this as a bludgeon. China failed to curb fentanyl imports, so a trade hit is necessary. First of all, it's questionable whether a 10% tariff on Chinese goods will even affect fentanyl flows. Fentanyl is a dangerous synthetic opioid fueling America's stormy drug crisis, but it's highly likely that smuggling routes would simply adjust, bypassing Chinese involvement. Imagine using tariffs, a broad tax tool, as the answer to a highly targeted global drug problem. Wouldn't it make more sense to engage in diplomatic pressure combined with new technology and border security measures? Instead, we get tariffs, plunging consumer markets, impacting American businesses, and derailing global supply ties, all while only marginally addressing the actual issue. At the end of the day, it's clear folks aren't just going to be able to sit around and wait this one out. With these radical proposed tariffs in motion, we're about to see the US slap a giant premium tax on itself via job losses, higher consumer prices, slower economic growth, and a crippled supply chain. Auto manufacturers like Linamar Corp already predict that higher car prices, due to pricier Mexican parts, will eventually push consumers out of the car buying market. This spirals down to jobs lost, stalled wages, and a desperate scramble to reduce operating costs, which means layoffs. Welcome to the dystopia. Even agriculture will face grim times. For perishable goods, Mexican exporters sending fruits and vegetables can't easily stockpile like manufacturing firms. So, tariffs here mean a sudden shortage of affordable produce for America's consumers. Further complications from this trade policy nonsense pile up. Now tell me friends, from where I sit, I don't see anybody winning here. The ridiculousness of shooting ourselves in the foot, wait, scratch that, the head, seems like the Trump administration's answer to global economic diplomacy. The US, Canada, China, Mexico, and the entire global economy are set up to lose because of this series of miscalculated policies. Now, with that drop of frustration, that's all we have today folks. Stick around for the next episode, where we dive deeper into how these colossal tariff blunders might brilliantly tie into larger US fiscal problems, like ballooning debt, broken infrastructure, and oh, wait for it, stagflation. Hit that like and subscribe button, stay in the economic driver's seat, and leave a comment roasting these misguided policies. That's all from Boss Economics World, thanks for watching, and until next time.